What is up, everybody? Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It is Wednesday, September 25th, and we are here to talk about AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. Reg, what is up, man?
What's up, Denise? Post-show of AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. I thought there was a lot of very high moments in this show. I thought the crowd for a lot of the show was great. They kind of petered off towards the end. I think as far as what this show kind of represents now, Denise, there was the essence of what AEW is and a lot of that. The tag match, kind of having the debuts. I feel pretty good about the show. How about you?
I thought that there was a lot of really good stuff, like overall on the show. I feel like it flew by, man. This
It was
show,
so
I know it's
fast.
2 hours. I felt like we were just sitting here for an hour, and it was like, oh, hey, Bryan Nigel's finally happening. Damn,
Right.
oh, here we are. Darby and Jon Moxley are killing each other, and it just really, really flew by. Honestly, I know that maybe some people are going to boo me. I don't know if you're going to boo me for this, but I really do kind of wish that tonight we would have seen the 2 hours of Dynamite and the hour of Collision here right now. I think we should have gone 3 hours. And the reason I say that is because I was already in a mood. You know, I'm in the mood, especially after Jon Moxley and Darby and the violence that ensued in that match. I wanted to see what what I knew the rest of the crowd is going to be seeing currently right now since they are filming Collision.
Yeah, it kind of feels like if this is a big show, we're talking about a big show. We've been talking about it for weeks. We're in this big stadium. Like maybe it should be that's the only time of the year that Dynamite is 3 hours because there is a little something and like it went by really fast, but it's like if there was a little bit more, I feel like it would have really put it over the top. But it's a free show, essentially, cable TV show. Like it's kind of AEW's gifts to us. So I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But the Collision card does look really good. We had 5 matches here today. We didn't have like as many background segments as we usually do. I
No,
think
we
we really
didn't.
just had like the conglomeration one, but usually we get so many backstage stuff. This time I feel it was a lot of like go, go, go. We're going to keep it with the wrestling, and that's where we saw things. So I want to go in order of the way that the show was presented to us. So I want to go ahead and get started with Bryan Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness. So this was a match that was anticipated for such a long time. I know during our watch along, a lot of people here in the chat were like, I can't believe this match is happening. All of the Ring of Honor fans from the 2000s are like freaking out right now. People were excited when the possibility, because Nigel McGuinness, he's been talking his shit, right? He'd been wanting this match. I've sat there and I've listened to Bryan Danielson say Nigel McGuinness cannot go anymore. We saw him at All In and he was perfectly fine. And so we finally got the match here today. And even they kind of swerved us in the beginning, made it seem like Bryan Danielson was going to get himself counted out and we weren't actually going to get the match. But we did, and he came out to the final countdown. Reg, how did you feel heading into this match? Were you somebody that was like, holy cow, I can't believe we're finally getting Nigel and Bryan?
I mean, of course, I have been affectionately named ROH Young Boy. Everybody knows the history of me and Ring of Honor, how much
Washing
I love
balls?
it.
You're a young boy. You got to wash balls, bro.
Why did your brain go there? I don't know how this happened. What do you mean?
Tell us the truth, Reg. You're out there washing balls.
Why did it go to washing balls? Why? Listen, I'm a big Ring of Honor fan. I don't know what the hell Denise is on. Big Ring of Honor fan, so I knew about the history of this. I've watched all their previous matches. I know the story that Nigel has been telling for the last 2 years, it feels like, every time on Collision. So this felt like a big moment. This felt like a big time. Like I felt like this match could have potentially happened at All In just because Nigel was there and then would happen. But with Bryan and Swerve, it kind of made more sense to do it here and kind of Nigel taking advantage of Bryan not having a match. Like the backstory, there was a couple parts that could have been hit on a little bit stronger, but I think the story that Nigel told coming into this built the anticipation up even more. So when the match got here, I was super ready for it just because I know how extreme these two guys can go if they wrestle. Like they've done the disgusting headbutt spots. They do a lot of really stiff action. And that's exactly what was in this match. They had that weird Bryan turned Nigel into like a spider on top of the turnbuckle thing. And just a lot of like strong strikes, strong slaps, strong chops. The Nigel's lariats in this match were like, I'm really trying to end this fool's career. I know I've been telling you guys that this is going to be Bryan's match, but I'm going to make sure it's Bryan's match. Nigel felt like he was fighting the match of his life. Like he put everything he had into the last however many years since he's retired into this match to show that I can still go with the top of the top best in the world. Bryan was Bryan, fighting from behind for most of the match, showing his heart, showing that you need a lot more to beat Bryan Danielson in a match like this. Even all the backstory that Nigel's told, everything that he said, still not enough because Bryan Danielson's in a different realm right now. He's a world champion, so he's kind of representing something. I thought this was perfect way to kind of start the show. Makes sense why they did this with how they ended the show, like having Bryan first. You kind of want to get him fresh in the brain, then bring him back out. But yeah, for the sickos, this was definitely for the sickos, Denise.
No, so here's the thing. I know a lot of people, like you said, probably thought like, oh, this match should have happened at All In. But I'm like, dude, the swerve, Bryan Danielson, happy ending story. I mean, it was like a wrestling fairy tale if we can ever have one. That was it right there. And so that definitely had to be as is. But I feel that we had to get a preview of where Nigel McGuinness is at right now at this point in his career. Because, Reg, there would be nothing sadder than seeing two guys who had some of the most incredible matches ever in professional wrestling go out there and have a sad match. Nobody would want that. Dude, I was on Twitter yesterday and there was a video that someone had shared of former NSYNC member Chris Kirkpatrick.
I saw that video earlier.
Saw that. Okay, so for those of you who did not see this video,
who are the other guys, Denise?
The other guys, I have no idea who they were, but it was Chris Kirkpatrick, and he was performing one of the songs from NSYNC, right? But the video was, everybody was kind of like making fun of the fact that, unfortunately, you know, they're older, Father Time gets everybody, but the moves are like barely slow, there, and it's very sad because they're not, you know, moving like young guys anymore. And when I was watching that, I thought to myself, oh my God, this is like when you watch, you know, two wrestlers from the past that were great, and then all of a sudden they're not great anymore. Like you still love them, but you're not there anymore. And I was afraid you never want that. So I feel we had to see where Nigel McGuinness was at in this, you know, the casino gauntlet that they did at All In, just so we can kind of see what we're getting ourselves into if the match does happen, because we didn't know at the time that that match was already, you know, in the works of happening. So I think here what Tony did with making this match, Tony knows his audience. Tony obviously bought Ring of Honor. He knows what the fans like, and he did it. He got it. He gave the fans what they wanted, and it turned out good, and none of us were ashamed. So there you go.
Yeah, this was it. Like you talking about the old guy match. Every time somebody talks about a past their prime match, number one that comes into my brain, ballhead HBK in fucking Saudi Arabia. Like, I'm like, dude, what happened? How did anybody authorize bald head HBK having a match? Who thought this was a good idea? I'm like, that we could have got that tonight, Denise. We could have got bald head HBK. Luckily, we did not. But there is a very fine line that could be crossed pretty fast.
Right, exactly. And so we don't want to see any of that. And thankfully, that's not what it was. They gave it a good amount of time. You mentioned the lariats. They were probably my favorite part of the whole entire bit there because he went in there. I like when they were exchanging strikes and whatnot, because even when we were seeing Nigel like punch Bryan, it was fine, right? But you could see the difference because when Bryan would turn him over, he just went at a whole different speed. And so that was going to happen naturally. You were going to notice that in certain moments here. But regardless, I did think it was a fine match, and people respected it. You know, people respected that, you know, these two guys have history, and here we are now getting this match. So for the most part, I thought it was definitely fine here. All right, so let's go ahead and keep this going. After this, we had a match between Hook and Roderick Strong for the FTW Championship. And this match here, I know, like the second I saw it, I had said, oh yeah, this is like a collision match. It's probably not going to be really on Dynamite, but look, it was not bad. They went in there, they worked at a fun speed, they went to the outside, they were literally fighting in the barricade, they were doing all of these stuff. I know you hate kendo sticks, but we got some kendo stick action in there. I liked that they kept it moving, and even when they got in the ring, I really did like the pacing of what we saw out there.
Yeah, I thought it was a super fun match, a lot better than I kind of expected. We talked about some times going into it, which was kind of funny. But I thought that them adding a little bit of plunder with the ending and the chair kind of spots that they were doing really kind of added on to it. Gave Hook, anytime Hook's in a like plunder match, we know the Samoa Joe match, anytime it's involved in that, it's usually a little bit better performance, a little bit more. It shows a little bit more to his character. And I thought this was one of the matches today. But this whole thing was about the ending segment, right? With Taz. Like, this is what really this whole thing was about. What what a tear jerker. Just seeing Taz like looking at the belt, looking at his son, handing them the belt, and probably like all the memories coming back of like, I used to fight Sabu for this in ECW. I created this belt out of necessity, and now my son carried it and brought even more on legacy onto it. And now he's retiring it in New York, and like all these moments coming together, Taz with the emotions. That was amazing.
Dude, I kind of felt bad, and I had like this 180 moment because at first I was like, oh yeah, they're retiring the FTW Championship. This is what I mean. AEW knows that we were sick of it. It was bringing down Hook. We were so over it. But time. the moment that Taz, that he gave the belt back to his father, oh man, I practically fell to my knees there, because that got at me. You know, anytime we see a really nice father-son moment, especially when your son is following in your footsteps, man, you can really, really tell what that meant to Taz in that moment. Yeah. And so because you could see that human emotion, oh, that really got to me. And then afterwards, I felt like a dick for being happy that we were done with the FTW Championship.
But we wouldn't have had the bit if we didn't have the first part. Like, you got to have the part where you want them to lose, because then it gets to the part of making the belt feel like more important. Do have one question for you, Denise. This is going to be the first time we see Hook completely away from that championship. It's gone. Where does he go next?
Dude, the options are limitless. I mean, when you think about all of the young talents that you have there on AEW, he can really go in God any direction at this point. I mean, you can go in there in a program with Kyle Fletcher, for example. Who am I thinking of? There's so many different people. There's Kyle Fletcher. Think of all the young guys.
You're just like Kyle Fletcher. He's just
Kyle Fletcher's the only person that popped into my brain right now. Sorry, guys.
Think of everybody. Kyle Fletcher. What about Fletcher Kyle? Kyle Fletcher could also be there.
Hey, I didn't have a goddamn list here ready for you. All right. Wheeler Yuta.
Yuta. Yeah.
There you go. Yep, Wheeler Yuta's another option.
You got to just get him into the, like, kind of the plane that Denise is on right now. Guys like that. Guys that are going to get in there and have these gritty matches, take them in different kind of techniques. Like Lucha, you got to have him in there with technical guys, got to have him in there with hardcore, bro. He just got to mix it up because he's been stuck with Jericho for a long time, and the championship has kind of held him down. Like, we got this great moment, and like, I'm sure they're both like, we're good here, but like being attached to that and having to have dad thing always attached to you has been like a detriment a little bit to him. So I'm happy to see him move forward.
I think so too. And that was something that we were talking about during our watch along earlier as well. Somebody had brought up that, hey, Hook hasn't really been moving up the ladder in AEW, which is astonishing, because if you go back and you recall when he first made his debut, I remember all of that buzz surrounding Hook, that one Rampage when he debuted. Yep. And it was like, I had not seen someone have so much buzz on AEW in terms of like, not even somebody that has never been a star, somebody that has never gone out there and won over fans. And he hadn't had a chance yet. He was brand spanking new. And then he went out there with so much buzz. Everybody was putting him over. And it really, really felt like this is somebody special that AEW has. Put him in a bubble, protect him, and really book him into something special, because you got a star there.
Yeah, and it's interesting thinking of this show specifically, Grand Slam, because I remember he had a big match on Grand Slam partnering with Action Bronson before. It used to be like this crazy different buzz around Hook and what kind of like the possibilities are, kind of how we're feeling now after like what you described today, Denise. The possibilities are endless. That's how it was until we're like, damn, he's stuck in the vortex. So it's good that he's out of that. And I want to see how he moves forward with like this new kind of freedom, I guess you could say. Taz is still going to be there. You're still going to have the legacy. You're still Taz's son, but you just don't need that championship accompanied with you.
I love it. Also, I want to give a shout out here because we got Chris Van Vliet in the house.
That's a big time person right there.
Chris is awesome. Everybody here has seen his work. If you're a wrestling fan, you have seen several of his videos, and Chris is a good guy. He's done a lot of video collaborations here on the channel too. Yeah, so check it out, guys. And thank you so much to Chris for popping in here. I love it because I saw the chat blow up, and I'm like, what's happening? And I'm just seeing CVV, and I'm like, what? Like,
big time player right there. Wow.
I love it. All right, so we got a couple of super chats that I want to go ahead and get into. We kind of got a little bit of everything. This is from earlier. Let's see. I'm trying to remember where we left off on here because we got so many different super chats here. Where were we at? Did we read? Yeah, we read Tender's Infamous Raider Loco. Did we read this one? Yes.
Nope. Yeah, we did that one. The Observer.
All right,
one.
Infamous
This
Raider
is the
Loco
one. Yeah.
says Darby isn't a beast, but he is a beast. Dude, I cannot wait to get to Darby Jon Moxley because that was a phenomenal match. We got Infamous Raider Loco also says, tell me Bryan wins against Mox. Brie mode, question mark. Dude, I would love to see Brie, but I don't know if that's happening. Like we said, we're getting closer to the end of Bryan's, full-time career. So probably not.
Only hope you guys have what Denise was saying earlier about Moxley is if Christian comes, but Moxley is taking that championship, brother. Don't you worry.
We didn't even mention Christian earlier, Reg.
When did he come
out?
out?
About Christian. He came
after
out
the Bryan
right
thing.
after the Bryan match, but Kip Sabian came out and stole his pen when he was about to sign the contract, which, Reg, you brought up some good points. They don't even need the contract. Just give it to the referee, ring the damn bell, and make it happen. Although, thank God they did not make it happen.
Yeah, thank you that they did this wacky bit to get to it, but the wacky bit was so like, why Kip Sabian just comes and steals his pin and like, that does it for Christian. Like, I can't do it now. I don't have a pin. Like, they might have a pin at ringside. You could get one on the way. If you really want this match, go and get it. But the fact that he didn't have his crew with them, there was a couple of telling points in this, but I didn't want him to do it anyways.
We got Infamous Raider Loco who says Bryan wins or loses because Wheeler turns finally. Oh, at WrestleDream? Okay, let's get to that. Let's put a pin on that. I'm going to come back to that. All right, we got Mike T90K who says Shane McMahon debuts at WrestleDream costing Danielson the match. Danielson versus Shane O'Mac 60-minute Iron Man match at All In 2025. And then Shane McMahon wins the AEW World Championship.
Mike, are you drinking and smoking straight West Coast and over there? That's crazy. You want to see Shane McMahon and Danielson? Oh my God. And then Bryan Danielson and then Shane O'Mac wins the championship. Denise, what the hell's wrong with you?
Hey, man, tell me that we wouldn't be talking about it. We'd be talking about it.
Listen, if he brings Declan McMahon, his son, maybe, because that's a cool name. But other than that, I don't want to see it.
We got John Taylor here who says Denise exposing the business. For those of you who missed it, people saw the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes.
Now you know what happens.
Marquise Del Toro says tag team title match was great. Still should have been an actual team. All right, Marquise and you and a bunch of people, let's talk about this because this was a big topic a couple weeks ago when we found out that Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher were the number one contenders to the tag team titles against the Young Bucks. But my defense was, fuck it. We're going to have a great freaking match, and I am here for it. And I've talked so much about Kyle Fletcher, how great he is, and this was a really cool opportunity for him to show, like, dude, look at me. Me and Will Ospreay, we're freaking awesome. Right. And it's not like they're just awesome together. They're also awesome separately, especially, we already know that for Will. We already know that. But now we got to see it a little bit more for Kyle.
Yeah, this was when you said it initially, when you're like, the match is going to be awesome, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, of course, Denise is Will Ospreay. It's the Young Bucks. It's going to be exactly what it's supposed to be. But this match, man, like we need a big match show. We need a big match for this show. We need kind of like what the definition of AEW is, what the future of AEW is. You got the Young Bucks, what this is built off of, the backs of what they brought. You got Ospreay, who is the future. No, he's the present right now, best wrestler in the world. You got Kyle Fletcher, who's the future of this business. Like, there's a lot. All the elements were there. And these guys, wow, they really did. Somebody in the chat while it was happening was like, this is like a PWG match. Exactly what it was. If you like those old school Young Bucks Reseda matches where there's a million things going on, there's somebody over there, there's a flip over here, they're doing a million Canadian destroyers, spot foo, back to back to back to back to back. Ospreay's going to hit a hidden blade out of nowhere. Kyle Fletcher's flying around. This match was exactly the type of Young Bucks match that built this fucking house, man. Like, when I complain on this show about wanting to see the Young Bucks, I want to see them active. This is all I want to see. Like, you guys don't even have to do anything. Just do a Young Bucks classic match. Play the hits. And the hits is what this exactly was. This match is awesome. Ospreay, when he gets on that, nobody in the world could beat me. I'm flowing moves together. I'm hitting it over here to transition to this. Nobody's better than this guy, Denise. He's incredible. Kyle Fletcher is so you saw earlier, Denise was like, young wrestler, Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher's stuck in her brain because he's so incredible at pro wrestling at such a young age. This is everybody on display right here. This is a match of the night for me, just because the Young Bucks needed to have, they've had a couple of them the last couple weeks, but I think they just continue to show exactly who they are and why they are the tag team champions. This was exactly that.
Oh, this was, like you said, a pay-per-view caliber match. This was a match that I think is going to go down for the year 2024 when we talk about best matches on Dynamite, best matches across the board on AEW. This one is definitely there. And one of the things that I also enjoyed that I thought was very, very fun in this match was just the cool moves that we were seeing in terms of like seeing them do the double Styles Clash, for example. And one of my and I know it happens every time when we see wrestlers like tag teams do moves simultaneously, but sometimes there's always one guy that's like off, right? For like a split second. And sometimes you catch it, right? Sometimes you don't, whatever, right? This time, dude, they were so in sync. They had that Styles Clash down. Nice. The TK driver from both parties, because even Kyle and Will threw in their freaking version of the TK driver, but even just doing it on the ring apron on Kyle Fletcher, that was freaking sick. I mean, there was just a point where we were talking about how these guys are still moving so fast. You're like, shit, we can't even keep up with what they're doing and who's who at this point because of how fast the action was moving. But the timing was impeccable. The spots were unique. And you mentioned PWG style type of matches. Well, there's a reason why PWG was so popular and it developed the reputation that it did because of guys like this.
These guys like right here specifically.
Exactly. And I should know, bro. Dude, you know how many freaking people, I can't believe we didn't even know each other, Reg.
It's
we
insane.
were at the same shows and didn't even know.
Yeah, well, you're a little girl. I wouldn't let you away, little girl. Like, stay over there, little girl. Why are you on this side? That's a word. You should be supposed to be in the little girl section.
Damn, Reg, you're out here being like, nah, sorry, no kids allowed.
No, who's like, why is there a kid in PWG? Get her out of here.
No, but it is true. When I was going to PWG, there was no freaking kids, like hardly none at all. I think the only kids were like me and my cousin when we would go with my uncle.
No, this wasn't a kid show. That's why when they talk about that now about AEW being for the, like, dude, this is built off Ring of Honor. Also, there wasn't a lot of kids in the ring. It's a hardcore teenagers, young adults. Like, they marketed towards a different brand of wrestling fan because WWE is continuously like for the kids, but like we need something too, and that's what this represents.
Right. But damn, Reg, we could have been friends.
You were a little girl, Denise. What do you mean? I'm not about to be friends with a little girl.
Okay, when I first started going to PWG, I was in 8th grade. I remember my uncle was like, oh, we're going to go to PWG. It's indie wrestling. And I was like, ew, what is that? And because I didn't know. I was in 8th fucking grade, okay?
Yeah, you like TNA.
I had only gone to WWE shows. Like I had only ever seen the big giant productions, the fireworks, all the big stuff. And my uncle basically said, oh yeah, we're going to go to the show. And the first thing that I asked him, Reg, was, is there going to be fireworks? And he said no. And I thought, what kind of cheap ass show are you taking me to?
Don't do my homies like that.
Got no fireworks?
That's so funny. That's your first question. Like, are there going to be fireworks, dude? Like, when they come out and point up, are fireworks going to come from behind them? Like, I don't want to just go.
Reg, I was so disappointed when I walked in and I was like, what
you
is
can't
this?
get fireworks in there at all. They're going to start a fire.
But I will tell you, the first match the first person that I saw wrestle, I'd never seen wrestling up close like that ever in my life. I was in the third row. I had never experienced anything like that. I saw Chris Sabin wrestle that night with Chris Hero, and it was the craziest. Shit. I sat there and I was like, oh,
I was definitely 100% at that show.
Won me over in a minute. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm here and I like it and I want more. And I've never seen wrestling so close.
Was that at the Jewish Sweatbox?
Yep, it was in Hollywood at the Jewish Community Life Center or something. Jewish
I was
Life,
there.
Hollywood.
I was 100% there too. That's the funniest part.
See, we could have been friends, Reg.
Could have been friends if you weren't in 8th grade. What do you mean?
All right, we got infamous Raider Loco here who says that behind the scenes start was off the hook.
Where'd you go?
Oh, I went to the bathroom to powder my nose and retouch my lipstick.
Like, Denise just ran out of here. Where'd she go?
We got Sheldon Jackson here who says that tag team title match ending was bullshit. Oh, I thought he was going to say brilliant.
Yeah. We didn't talk about the Don Callis part.
He says, who the F thought that ending was the ending to do? That's right. I forgot about that. The
Yeah.
screwdriver has go away heat with me now. It's been overdone now. Time for the Bucks to lose the title. So basically what Sheldon here is referring to is Don Callis tried to get Kyle Fletcher to use the screwdriver. Kyle Fletcher was going to use it, but Will Ospreay, being the good guy that he is, saw it, gave it back to the referee because he is a babyface. And instead, the Bucks ended up hitting Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher both with the tag team titles. They ended up cheating, and that's basically what led to their victory.
Yeah, see, like the belts part was a classic Young Bucks bit, but the Don Callis part, I didn't like it either. Like I was saying during the show, like he's done this bit so many times, and every single time he does it, his guy loses. Like, your bit doesn't even work for you. Why do you keep bringing it out? But like, that's furthering the story with Kyle and Will, because they were teasing that they're gonna break up kind of at the end of this, and they did the long shot where Ospreay's on the apron like a little sad puppy dog, and Kyle's disappointed. So like, I don't know. Like I didn't like that, but I mean, if it's furthering the story, I understand.
Yeah, it definitely is. But hey, man, we were talking about people leveling up, right? You don't want people in the same place all at the same time. Program with Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay down the line, when these two guys who are legitimate friends, we've seen them share smoothies together. At some point, that is going to be the feud that makes Kyle Fletcher into a full-blown single star. You think?
I agree. Yeah, no, I think that's the most inevitable thing. And I think because of the story that they've been telling of essentially like, that's my little bro, Will Ospreay saying like, Kyle Fletcher, we've been down for a while. He has to get from out of his shadow, out of Ospreay's shadow, and that's the only way. It's a big match. So I like that they're leading to that, and and Kyle Fletcher really needs that, but like, let's not have Don Callis muddy it all up.
I feel ya. We got Grapple Geekery here who says no learning tree helped with the pace for sure. Come on, I would have liked to hear Bad Apple. How does the song go, Reg?
Yep. I would have liked to hear that. Yeah, me too. But they're gonna be on Collision. That we won't hear that because we're gonna hear Judas in my mind, or whatever the fuck it is.
Hey, you like the learning tree.
Oh no. Boom, boom, ba-da-ba-doom. I do like the learning tree.
We got Infamous Raider Loco here who says cinematic Roman and Cody are scapegoat to Collision. I mean, a scapegoat was like 2 seconds, bro.
I mean, they got the Michael Bay camera on for that 2 seconds though, so
it did look nice. It did look nice. It was cool, but yeah, I mean, it was 30 seconds versus like close to 9-minute skit.
Denise, is this where we're leading to fucking Fast and the Furious monologues in the middle of the fucking football field? Like, I expected it to be like, this is all about family at one. I'm like, what are you talking?
I can see Jon Moxley trying to be the Vin Diesel here.
I'm saying Mox comes in and he's like, you don't fight against family and all this shit. I'm like, I guess you guys.
Man, maybe that is what they're trying to do. Because they got Vin. I mean, I've only seen like one Fast and the Furious, and I don't even know which one it was.
I mean, they got somebody from the Fast and Furious in the damn storyline, so this makes sense.
Wait, who is it again?
The Rock. What you mean? Who is it?
Oh, no, but no, I'm talking about an AEW, though. There's no one in AEW. I was like, that. I'm not talking about The Rock.
What are you talking about?
I was talking about how, like, I've been on the Universal Studios ride, and they have the little, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a whole experience with the Fast and the Furious. And it's The Rock, it's Vin Diesel, and it's the girl, and then some other person. So I'm like, you have Jon Moxley, you have Marina.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Mox is Vin Diesel for sure.
That's what I'm saying. So then Marina Shafir would be the girl. Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. If you're a big fan of Fast and the Furious.
She's only seen one. Yeah. Got you.
I've only seen one, and I was on the ride.
The Rock? No, because Vin Diesel and The Rock fight each other is the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, in the movie.
I don't care this much about Fast and Furious. All right. Eloquent says, Young Bucks are so back. This is what we need. Mm-hmm. We were so over like a lot of what the Young Bucks were doing when we were here for our All-In show. The Claudio Wheeler Yuta match. Nobody really cared.
Fire, though. They were going at it, but that's the shit we need.
Grapple Geekery here says, I never got sick of the FTW Championship. I got sick of Jericho as FTW champion. It kills me. He was the last non-Taz family guy to hold it.
Like, when you look into the record books, it's going to be like, Jericho had a reign, and then Hook got it back for 2 weeks, and then it was over. It's going to look kind of crazy at the end of it.
Oh, man. We got Infamous Raider Loco here who says, Reg, I'm drinking and smoking, and Shane O'Mac is wild. He also says, tag title match was effing epic. Reg, right? Fight Bucks And Crazy 101 says, up on DG Reg, Daniel Garcia? Are we talking about Daniel Garcia?
No,
Yeah.
Dragon Gate.
No, he's talking about Daniel Garcia.
No,
up
he's
on
not.
Daniel Garcia, Reg, name 3 free agents you could see in AEW.
He's talking about Dragon Gate. Up on Dragon Gate Wrestling, name 3 agents from Dragon Gate you would see.
I thought he was talking about Daniel Garcia.
No, that sentence wouldn't even make. Are you up on Daniel Garcia? Name 3 free agents.
I thought he was asking if you were up to date on the Daniel Garcia news.
No.
Who are some free agents that you would want to see?
No,
All right,
absolutely
all right.
not.
I'm
not up
sorry.
enough. Also, answer your question, Crazy 101 on Dragon Gate to know too much, honestly.
Dude, I thought you were gonna give us the whole last freaking brilliant answer, Reg. After
No, I just
you
wanted
shut
to
me
correct
down.
your ass first.
Well, just so that we know here, Daniel Garcia, we still haven't had any updates in terms of what is going down with him and whether or not he's sticking with AEW or moving on to the other side and going to WWE.
Denise,
we'll find out.
The homie might show up on CW. I don't know, man.
I mean, not right now, though, but maybe in the future.
What you mean, not right now? Why not?
I don't know.
He can show up on Tuesday.
I don't know. Maybe he can. Holy shit, that'd be great.
He can show up on Tuesday. I don't think he has a contract, right? Isn't that this whole thing? They're trying to sign him to a new contract. That must mean he ain't got no contract. I don't know the specifics at all.
No, that doesn't necessarily mean that he has no contract. It could be a situation where his contract is about to end and he just hasn't necessarily started to renegotiate.
Oh, yeah. That's right. But he could show up on Tuesday in fucking Chicago.
Well, it depends because I don't know when his actual contract is up.
Who knows? Are the Lucha Bros? No, the Lucha Bros contracts are not up.
Yeah, so it's not looking like that's going to happen right now. But we got Infamous Raider Loco who says, saying it for the drama, in sync over Backstreet Boys. Man, you gotta stop with the bad opinions. What are we doing?
Don't let Chris Kirkpatrick little video destroy what happened, what the life is.
All right, so this is what we're going to do here really quickly. I'm going to freaking search this up because InSync has 26.7 million monthly listeners as of right now. Mark that 26 point. God damn it, you better have my back here.
InSync's gonna have
Spotify.
more.
How much did I say for InSync?
26.1.
All right, Backstreet Boys, 100 million. All right, moving on. Monthly listeners. Backstreet Boys, number
Here
1.
she goes with this WWE fucking fan logic of they got more numbers.
We got Rounded Leo who says, how can Kyle be a star if he never wins a singles match on Dynamite? Well, he's gonna start. I
think that's part of the journey is we're like, damn, we've seen Kyle Fletcher in so many big matches, but he can't never do it. The biggest match that he ever does is beating his best friend, Will Ospreay.
It's gonna happen, man. They better not drop the ball here with Kyle Fletcher. Please.
No, I don't think they will. As long as you're next to Ospreay, so you're already going to be getting the shine. They just have to stick the landing, you know?
Yeah, I want him to beat Jack Perry too while I'm at it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know why, but I just want him to beat Jack Perry.
I think that Kyle as TNT Championship has a good ring to it, so.
Ooh. Juan Ortega here says, Reg to 8th grade Denise. Who are you, little girl? This isn't Big Brother. Ha. God, I miss PWG. Thank you.
Everybody would have thought I was so weird if I was talking to an 8th grade. They'd be like, dude, you're going to jail.
You know, my pet peeve used to be, man, when I used to go to the show.
I was still in high school, though.
Yes, I was in middle school. I was in middle school.
Still weird.
You could have been my brother. People don't know. Like, come on. You never know, okay? Look, you want to know what I used to hate, though? Is when the show was scheduled to start at 8 o'clock, and that shit never started at 8 o'clock. It'd be 0%. Like close to 10. And we'd still be out there in line waiting. Oh, it used to drive me crazy.
The craziest thing about that is that you went to that show for $10. Like your uncle got $10 tickets for you and the crew. And now, like the last PWG show was $100 to get in. I'm like, we used to get in here for $10, dude. But, inflation and time and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I stopped going once the tickets went up. Once it became like the popular thing to do, I was like, all right, I'm out. Peace.
When Rhonda and Shayna are in the front row and
Bro,
stuff.
Sofia Vergara was there.
Oh, yeah, she was.
Oh, I would have loved to have gone but I wasn't
Dude,
a fan
that's
of
the
hers
one
yet
I
there.
missed too. And I was like, damn, she was out there.
I wasn't a fan of hers yet because I hadn't seen Modern Family yet at that time.
She is.
But now if I meet Sophia, I would love to meet Sophia.
Better with age. Every year it's like better and better and better. It's crazy.
Once the cool people in parentheses, started coming in, that's when I was out.
Shout out to PWG.
Infamous Raider Loco says, I did it for the drama. Mm-hmm. Yes, you did, my friend.
And it's true. Like, Denise could talk all the numbers that she wants, but like NSYNC wins this.
No, it's the Baxter Boys, bro. You just saw that Chris Kirkpatrick video. That was my argument right there.
He didn't help.
We got Mike T90K who says WWE is for Taylor Swift fans and AEW is for mature, rich Slayer fans. Bro, you do realize how much money people spend on Taylor Swift, right?
That's Please the bit. You realize That's the bit.
Do you have any idea how much money people spend on Taylor Swift? Do you have any idea how much money I've spent on Taylor Swift?
Honestly, I think she ain't taking advantage of y'all enough if we're keeping it real, because she could get a lot more money out of y'all if she wanted to.
Oh, she could. If she did a podcast, oh, forget it. I would be on there like
if Taylor Swift do a podcast, you would stop doing podcasts because you would just listen to that podcast all the time. That would be so crazy.
Anyways, she's moving economies here, right, guys? Google that stuff. It's legit. All right, we got Margie Loves here who says they got to get Darby, Fletcher, Daniel Garcia some wins before it feels too late. Well, I don't know about Daniel Garcia, especially if he's on the fence right now of whether or not he's going to be sticking around with AEW. AEW is not going to want to put him over if he's leaving, and I think that's part of the reason why he didn't defeat MJF. They didn't want to give him that if they're not trusting that he's going to stay with the company.
That is kind of thing AEW should kind of focus on, what Margie's bringing up here. A lot of times when they building up young wrestlers for them usually means losing a lot. Like, that's how they kind of tell the story for when they get to the other side. And you could be like, hey, remember you never won a match in your life and now you keep winning. So maybe they could go with the new strategy, because that's still their same strategy of like, this is a young person. They have to go through adversity to get to where they are, but you got to give them the wins too. And I don't know. Do you think, I mean, Darby has the TNT championship thing, but like, when's the last time he got a big win? When Sting was here?
Yeah, probably their last match, Sting's last match.
Yeah, he needs.
So then after that, he wrestled Jay White, got hurt in that match, was gone for a bit, then came back, and then this is the latest stint that we've seen for Darby.
Right, and he's been losing since he's been back. So like, I feel like the fans, like Margie brings up, and what we saw on the show tonight, what we're gonna get into, when Moxley won. Spoiler alert if you hadn't seen it. When Moxley won, like the crowd, I don't think they are mad that Moxley won. They just want Darby so bad. Like, it's not Moxley's fault. It's just like, no, we're just ready for Darby new, because they primed them for this. Like, since this company has begun, they're like, Darby Allin's your guy, you guys. Don't forget, cheer this guy. He is you. He's the heart and soul of AEW. So like, they want him to win. They don't want Moxley to win, but the story has been Moxley. So it makes sense.
We got well-rounded Leo here who says new editiones.
New edition.
Oh, editiones?
Like, what the fuck is new editiones?
Wrote it. No, new edit. I don't even know who new edition is.
You turn them into a like Latino band and shit. New editiones. What the fuck is that? New Edition is the original black boy band. Denise, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, Ralph Tresvant, Bobby Brown. You know Bobby Brown?
Yes, I know Bobby
He
Brown.
Started in New Edition.
Sorry, I can't.
He started in New Editiones.
Dude, there's so many crazy names out there. This could have been a name.
Oh my god,
you
so
need to
funny.
Start writing properly so I can
New
see
Edition,
it.
Dude, New Editiones kills it.
Reg, who's your favorite band?
New Editiones, they're sick, dude. I've been a New Editiones fan since like 1991, I think.
Can't. Uncle Donk here with a very generous super chat says it's crazy to think how us old heads were only able to watch jobbers getting squashed on weekly cable television. Now wrestling fans are spoiled with getting pay-per-view, premium live events, matches, even on free TV shows. I mean, he's on to something, bro.
Sometimes I'll on Peacock I'll like put on like Raw from 1990 something. And some of those shows, like, you guys don't understand. We just watched an amazing Grand Slam with amazing matches. We used to not, it used to be way different. There used to be jobber matches. The big stars weren't on the TV shows. Like if you wanted to see Hulk Hogan, you had to go to the show to see him. If you wanted to see Ultimate Warrior, you had to go to the show to see him. They weren't wrestling every week. Like the Monday Night Wars created this thing where like the top stars have to be in the main event for ratings. But before that, like if you weren't paying a ticket to go see them live, you weren't going to see them. Like TV wasn't the show to see the big stars of the company. That was just to build to the angles for the big main event show. So we are living in a totally different time. I could start watching wrestling now. I could watch brand new wrestling from some kind of region of the world for like the next 10 years. If I started and not watch back, that's how much wrestling we have on a completely weekly basis. And for the fact that we can watch AEW, we can watch Raw, we can watch NXT, and they're all putting on insane shows. It's like, sometimes I just sit and pray like, Denise, we get content because it's constantly happening. And not only is it constantly happening, it's all really good when it's happening.
Oh, no, it definitely is. And as somebody who's recently done these WrestleMania rewatches, my SummerSlam rewatches.
You saw it.
I went from the very beginning, bro. I went way back, and there were some things that were obviously great gems, some really cool stuff that I appreciate even in this time and day. But then there was some stuff where I thought, oh my God, would I have been a fan during this time period? I don't know. But then again, during that time period, people were used to only what they were seeing, so it was different, and it's hard.
Definitely.
I try to put myself, like I would say this all the time when I was doing my little reviews of old shows. Is I tried to. It was really, really hard to take myself out of what I'm used to right now in present day and try to get into the mind or tried to get into the head of what people were used to back in the day. Totally. And sometimes it was, you could get swept away in a great story, but for those matches that didn't have the stories and didn't have the wrestling, I mean, we've argued here on the show about stories and good matches. Well, what happens when you have neither? All right, I sat through that shit. All right, I can tell you it exists.
Right? Yeah, it exists. And there used to be a time when like it's funny now because they're like, the fans are like, we want them to announce the shows. We want to blah blah blah. We want to know the cards. Like they would have a WrestleMania and like they'd just be a match, an unadvertised match where like King Kong Bundy's gonna wrestle some jobber from the back, and that would be on the pay-per-view. Like things have changed so much. We are so spoiled. We are so lucky, and we complain too much, and it's unfortunate.
We're bougie. We're wrestling
We're
bougie.
The bougiest. Denise is crazy.
Me? Oh, you're saying it's in general. Oh, okay. I was about to say, am I being called out here? What is happening?
No, I said it's crazy. Relax.
We got Margie Del Castillo, who just became a brand new member. So thank you so much for joining the DWO. We have Infamous Raider Loco with a very generous super chat. Thank you so much. He says, okay, guys, I've been battling something. Got into Denise's because of Wrestle Talk, but loving everything she does. Torn between Denise and Will, Denise and Reg, but I'm Cali Bread, Kelly Connection all day. Love ya, Will.
Wow.
He's torn.
Who do you pick, Denise?
I was gonna say I've been doing shows with you longer, so sorry, Will. I'm gonna have to go with Reg.
In your face, Will Washington. I knew I was gonna get one over on you.
You know I'm gonna break Will's heart with that.
Dude, he's
I'm gonna break Will's heart.
Will's
a sensitive fella.
He is. He's definitely gonna call you tomorrow and give you some shit. But yeah, in your face, Will Washington.
He's gonna be like, so I saw your podcast. And I'm gonna be like, yeah, what part? Do that to Will. I know what he's gonna say. I know what he's gonna say, and I act like don't know shit.
What part is so good?
Nothing. Let me hear what you're gonna say first before I bury my own self.
Dude, that's so funny. You guys don't know how funny what part is. What part? Denise is hella funny, man. But yeah, he's on your ass. You're dead.
All right, I'm done.
Mm-hmm. You're not gonna get a good media ticket. You're gonna be.
No, I'm not gonna get nothing. We're just gonna be the Reg. I'm calling Will Reg. I almost want to tell a funny story, but I don't know if
you're gonna be behind a big pillar next time you try to get.
All right, I'm gonna tell a story, but you cannot tell Will I said this. You don't even know this story. He might kill me.
Broadcast to the world. What do you mean?
All right, nobody tell Will I'm sharing this story, okay?
Everybody zip. You can't.
Snitches get stitches.
Do not screen record this. Don't send him. Don't at Will Washington. Do not. Okay, go ahead, Denise.
So there was this one time Will and I were driving. I don't remember where we're coming from. Might have been the Mariah Carey concert or something. And we were talking, right? And I had mentioned, like, oh yeah, Reg is gonna stay over for the time you stayed over for the pay-per-view, right? And I had said, like, yeah, and then he goes, like, oh, I didn't know that. And I was like, oh, he didn't mention it to you? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, I didn't say anything because I thought Reg would mention it to you. And then he goes, no. And then he stays quiet. And then he goes, you better not replace me with Reg. True fucking story, Reg. And I told Will, I promise I won't.
It's so fun. The reason that this is really funny is because, like, I remember when we first got together and started doing pods, Denise, we did a pod, and then you were like, hey, let's try one on Sunday. And I was all, that's usually be when you did a show at Will. That's going to be weird. I was like, this is all kind of weird and interesting.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I think she's trying to replace me over Will. Like, I
wasn't trying to do
I don't know
that.
what this is.
That
like,
was what I was
in.
trying to avoid. And it's funny because I came home and I told my husband, and I was like, man, I think Will might be a little jealous of Reg. And I told he's the only person who has known this story. I never told
the
you.
Whole world knows.
Now the whole world knows.
That's crazy.
Oh,
Listen,
man.
Will, you went out to greater pastures, man. The game is the game, brother.
That's too funny. All right, infamous Raider Loco. He's responsible for this.
This guy's been hell all night. No, that's a really good one though.
He also says, 90s baby. I agree with Reg. Love all wrestling. Love Will, even a Broncos fan. But in your faith, I didn't hear Cali Connection all day. Thank you so much, Tim.
So cool, man. Appreciate you, Raider Loco. Don't appreciate the Raiders, but I do appreciate you.
That's wild. Anyways, I'm probably going to hear from Will for that. Okay. All right, we got to get into the other stuff that went down on the show. We also have Grapple Geekery, who says, Denise, is Reg the Will you have?
The Will you have at home is really funny.
Wait. Is Reg the Will you have at home?
You know, when they'll be like, oh.
No, I know, but when you have like Will at home, Reg at home. So who do I have at home? I have.
We have Will at, when you'll be like, oh, I have Will at home, and then it's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Reg, you're the Will at home.
I'm the Will at home. I'm not that, but that's what it would be if it was. So Reg, you're the Will at home. Yeah, I am. I just agreed.
You know what's worse? I told Will. I said, Will, I will not replace you. I promise.
You lied to him. I promise is hella funny. And then you told the world. That's crazy.
He was dead serious too. Like legit looked me in the eyes and said this.
It's Will Washington. I know.
All right. So we got Mariah May versus Yuka Sakazaki. This was pretty much what you were probably expecting here with this match here. Pretty brief. The crowd wasn't all that invested in this match though, unfortunately, but it was fine. It was good. And the big thing really afterwards was Mina Shirakawa coming in afterwards and then her having this like reuniting moment with Mariah May. Yeah,
this was kind of built on the backs of that. The match was really fun though. Yuka coming back last week for that tag match, I thought was awesome. And tonight, this was a fight. Denise randomly throughout the match would be like, I'm loving these slaps because these women were slapping the shit out of each other for a good number of the match. I love Mariah in one of these show your Japanese roots type matches. Yuka is like Rio and Shida in where if the match is on, you're going to be in a fight, and the way that she works is going to get any crowd behind her. This crowd wasn't the best, but like a crowd that wants to, she's going to get them engaged because that's how great of a wrestler she is. And I just love that these women were in there just slugging for most of it.
No, that's really what it was there. The slaps for me were like probably the best part, but I think people just want to, I kind of felt bad that the crowd wasn't all that invested.
Yeah, they probably should have put them on earlier, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know what could have happened there. Maybe they could have gone after Bryan and Nigel. Maybe that would have been the way to go. But regardless, it was still a fine match there. So I do want to go ahead and get into the main event, though, because that's really such a huge thing to get into. The main event ended up being Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin. And as you guys know, Darby Allin had won had the spot to become the new number one contender. He had earned an opportunity to face Bryan Danielson when he won the Royal Rampage, what feels like 50 years ago. Yeah. This dude waited practically 50 years to get this match. He, unfortunately, Jon Moxley basically tells them, like, I don't think you should be the guy to have this match. You're not AEW World Champion material. Put it on the line. And instead of wrestling Bryan here tonight, he ends up wrestling Jon Moxley and puts his opportunity on the line. And like many of us expected, Reg, you painted the story beautifully. After the attack that happened at the pay-per-view with the suffocating of the bag, the story was calling for Jon Moxley. Now, the story called for Jon Moxley, but I think everyone, or the majority of people's hearts, were with Darby Allin. And I will say this right now. The second that match ended and I saw that crowd reaction, it should have been Darby. I wish that we didn't work ourselves into the situation where Darby would get screwed out of this.
Yeah, that's kind of the casualty of this whole story. Is like the BCC, the new BCC is awesome. Moxley, I love his character. Marina's been doing great. Everything surrounding that is great. I want them to interact with Bryan. I like everything about it. But the fact that Darby had to be the one that got the match and lost the match, and he's just kind of like, now what happens to him? Is he just thrown to the wayside? Does he get into something new? Does he get his revenge? Like, what happens? If it's just next week it's over, he's moved on to something else, that's really unfortunate, because I think, as we saw with the crowd, with the match, they want him bad. You told us for years, this is our guy. So give our guy an opportunity. And it could feel like kind of how you were saying during the show, Denise, like some people could feel burnt out on Moxley. Like, we've seen him as world champion before. We kind of know what he presents. Like, if he's going to be world champion, he's going to have to bring something different. But I feel like people are like, they want something new. We got a whole roster of guys that deserve to be in title matches. We got a roster of guys that deserve to be champion. And it feels like they're running back Jon Moxley. They're just like, well, we're going to the well again. Like, when did we have great success? When Moxley was. And so, like, I get it. Is someone you want to go back to. Moxley is also the heart and soul of AEW. He represents something that is always needed. And him being champion is going to hit because it's Moxley. But Darby, it felt like he was set up for what he was doing in this match. His mouth was all busted. At one point, Moxley's putting his mouth on the ropes and kicking it, and it caused a really nasty leak. And Darby showing his heart. He hit that nasty flip onto the outside, hit the concrete, the big drop kick off the top rope to Moxley on the chair. Like, Darby was going for it. He's not giving everything that he got, but it just felt like we knew the whole time that Moxley was going to win, and we're just kind of waiting for the finish. And like, you don't want matches to be like that. Even with this really awesome Death Rider from the top rope, the avalanche death, like the finish was awesome, but we were just like, we knew it was coming and it just didn't hit as hard as it should have.
Man, and I don't even know where to begin with this. I mean, I guess I'll talk about the match here, because you mentioned Darby getting busted open in his mouth completely. I think he might have lost a tooth or something, because I'm like, that's like crazy bleeding. Like, you're bleeding from your gums, bro. Like, that is sick. But for me, it was the spot where he did the dive to the outside, lands straight on his back onto the concrete. I mean, that was freaking crazy. Then gets slammed onto the steel steps. Earlier, he had gotten tossed into the ring post. That was insane too. I mean, it's Darby. You're going to get these crazy freaking matches. There were so many cool moments during this. Even him doing the drop kick to Moxley, who was on a chair on the outside. That was sick too. All of that really, really hit. But it is that thing where I feel like the passion and the heart and all of that was with Darby Allin. And so I'm with you on this, where if Jon Moxley defeats Bryan Danielson at WrestleDream, I'm going to need, or rather, I'm going to want it to feel more exciting with Moxley as champion, because I do see it like, dude, we got Okada on this roster. We got Will Ospreay on this roster. I see guys like Konosuke Takeshita being future world champions. Like, there's so many people that feel like they're in line, or are
going to bring a different flavor than what Moxley has. Yeah,
exactly. And it's like, we've talked about seeing Moxley being AEW world champion many times, and I want to go into I feel like we've moved past past that right now. Like we moved into this new era for AEW where it's like, okay, it's time to see some new faces in this. And you mentioned Darby Allin. Darby Allin is somebody that I already know, like when Darby wins the AEW World Championship, you're going to have people that are like, oh, I can't buy him as champion because of his size, blah, blah, blah. But the people that have seen and like what Darby Allin brings to the table, people are going to be so freaking excited for him because he's one of those guys that just has it in terms of like, he's different, he stands out, and connects with people of all ages because of what he does out there. And he's somebody that, again, he had the great stuff at Sting that's honestly one of the best. Like you can't even ask for anything more. But he's been obviously TNT champion, all of that, but it hasn't happened he hasn't been champion in a long time. So it feels like he can be holding gold pretty soon. It feels like he should be on the trajectory to becoming AEW World Champion at some point.
Yeah, the fans are going to get to a point where they're going to force it. They're going to be like, you can't keep doing this to Darby. We're not going to see him be in these single situations and not get a payoff. Like the Sting payoff's going to work for him for a while. Like that's a legendary thing. But we have to start seeing Darby, the single star, the marketing guy, the guy that the kids want to see. We have to start seeing him get these big opportunities because of what he represents.
Exactly. So I think we covered all of the matches, but let me go ahead and get into some of these super chats here of what we got. And this is oh my gosh, we haven't even talked about the MVP stuff. Jesus.
Oh, MVP.
I know, because it was in between. It threw me off. Matt Logan says, so are we going to have MVP looking to take Swerve from Nana? So I don't think so, because the way that it came across. So Tony Schiavone's out there with Prince Nana, and he's interrupted by MVP, who made his debut here on AEW. Huge news there because basically he alluded to being all about business, right? So that means that they're going to be bringing in Bobby Lashley. And we just don't know when. It could be at the 5-year Dynamite anniversary. It could be on WrestleDream, or who knows. But I feel like based off what he said, he was throwing so many shots at Prince Nana that I feel like he was more so like shitting on Prince Nana in a way. Like he was not putting Nana over.
Yeah, no, he wasn't putting Nana over at all. Now, does he want to take Swerve from Nana? He should. And I think that's kind of the story that they were telling here of like, he said at the end of it here, Nana, give Swerve my card if he wants to get with, somebody that's going to take him to the promised land for real, keep him there. If he's building towards something, if he's building a new Hurt business or whatever it's called, you want to start at the top. Well, who's the baddest black dude you got in this place? Swerve does. Well, who's he with? Oh, he's with Nana. That fool that be shucking and jiving, like MVP says. That fool that's slanging coffee. Like, why is he with him? He could get with the real person. But Swerve, the way that he talked about Prince Nana after he bought the house and that's his best friend and what he represents, I can't see him wanting to leave Swerve. So MVP is going to need a deeper resume or deeper pitch to get to Swerve. That's for sure.
But at least now it's looking like that can be the first direction that they head into when Bobby Lashley comes in. Well, Swerve Strickland.
You mean Bobby Lashley and Swerve to start it off? Come on.
It's all right there. It's all laid out for us right there. We got infamous Raider Loco who says Darby versus Bryan should have been the match. I know. But
especially if it's going to be Bryan's last, his retirement match. Like, I feel like Darby would have got that rub a little bit more because, like, when it's going to be sad when Moxley beats him.
So Bryan, because, okay, there's been so much confusion, at least for me, where Bryan had said, like, oh, this is going to be his last year being part-time, but I'm sorry, his last year being full-time and he's going to be part-time. But then he changed it to whenever he loses, that's it. That's his last match, right?
He's gone. Yeah. That's where he's at now. If somebody beats him for the championship, he's supposed to be gone.
So if Jon Moxley beats him for the championship at WrestleDream, does that feel like that's the definitive? Does that feel like the right goodbye?
I feel like for him, for Bryan, yes. Like his whole AEW career is kind of centered around Moxley. Like it's gonna hit hard for him. I don't know if the fans it'll hit as hard, but they're gonna tell the story going into it, and we're gonna start to understand it. So it probably will. But I feel like just how Bryan came in, the Regal stuff, BCC, all of this culmination has been an epic showdown with Jon Moxley. And kind of giving that guy the rub, the guy that came over from WWE, took a chance on himself, became one of the prominent guys over here. it's probably going to seem a little crazy because it doesn't seem like he needs the rub, but I feel like for Bryan, he wants to give him the rub, you know?
Yeah, even though he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't
He
need it.
doesn't
Of
need it.
course.
He's
He
already
doesn't need it.
Moxley, you know? But like, I feel like for Bryan, he's like, if I'm going to go out, one of my homies needs to get this. So
It just doesn't feel like the end, though. I don't. It doesn't feel like the end to me.
I just want it to be the end because he's been injured so much. And like, I want you to get to your family, but it could also not be. Like, he could lose the match and then take some time off and come back for the kind of what he was talking about, 10 matches a year or whatever. So I don't know.
Man, all right. We got Rafael Garcia here. Says put Hook in the Continental Classic in the same block as Okada. Hey,
I like Hook, but I'm not. No.
But he does have to be put in these, like, if he wants to keep leveling up, he needs to be put in those types of tournaments.
Put him in the match with Buddy Matthews on Collision and see if he can hoop. Like, Buddy Matthews will show your ass. Like, you know, he don't need that. Like, he just needs a couple of these hoopers that can go to show him what's up.
We got Tenruza here who says New Japan Pro Wrestling YouTube uploaded a Kenny Omega Tanahashi reunion interview tease. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Kenny is outside, you guys. Wow, this is exciting. Next
Maybe
week,
he just wants some
5th
fresh
anniversary.
air, Reg. Maybe he just wants some fresh air. Tenruza, thank you so much for that super chat, man. All right, so I think we basically covered this entire show. We're done, right? I didn't miss anything?
No, we got MVP. We got, yeah, I think that's everything.
All right, guys. So that's where we're at. Before we go, just a friendly reminder that Reg and I are here each and every single Wednesday. So if you guys enjoyed this post show, come back next Wednesday and we will be here. Friday, I'll be here with Robin for SmackDown Conversation. Reg, what do you got going on?
This week is just regular Grapsody with the homie Philip Lindsay. I think we have a guest. And then, yeah, next week we into that Busted Open Radio. The BW 500 is coming out next week. Very excited about it, you guys. This has been so fun as always. These watch-alongs are amazing. The people that stick around for the whole thing, you guys don't understand how cool you are. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody that was here. Thanks for everybody for submitting super chats and joining along in the fun. We're going to do more. It's just like every time I do, I'm like, all right, that means more. Because, like, again, that's so much fun. So thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much to everybody who hung out for the watch along, for the post show, for whatever. Our last super chat here is from Infamous Raider Loco, who says Cali Connection all day.
Let's go. Thank you so much, Infamous Raider Loco, for submitting all the whole time and engaging and being cool. Super dope.
All righty, everyone. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone. Bye.